At that time, Jesus began to speak to the chief priests, teachers of the law, and elders in parables. A man planted a vineyard, put a fence around it, dug a pit for the winepress, and built a watchtower. Then he rented the vineyard to some farmers and moved to another place. At harvest time, he sent a servant to the tenants to collect from them some of the fruit of the vineyard. But they seized him, beat him, and sent him away empty-handed. Then he sent another servant to them, and they struck this man on the head, and treated him shamefully. He sent still another, and that one they killed. He sent many others. Some of them they beat, others they killed. He had one left to send, his beloved son. Finally, he sent him to them, saying, "They will respect my son." But those tenants said to one another, "This is the heir. Come, let's kill him, and the inheritance will be ours." So they took him and killed him and threw him out of the vineyard. Then the chief priests and the teachers of the law looked for a way to arrest Jesus, because they knew he had spoken the parable against them. But they were afraid of the crowd, so they left him and went away. The image of the vineyard is clear. It represents the people whom the Lord has chosen and formed with such care. The servants sent by the owner are the prophets, sent by God, while the Son represents Jesus. Just as the prophets were rejected, so too was Christ rejected and killed. So, with this very harsh parable, Jesus confronts his listeners with their responsibility, and does so with extreme clarity. But let us not think that this admonition applies only to those who rejected Jesus at that time. It is valid for all times, including our own. Even today, God expects the fruits of his vineyard from those he has sent to work in it. All of us. In every era, those who hold authority, any authority, even in the church, among the people of God, can be tempted to pursue their own interests rather than those of God. And Jesus says that true authority is when one serves, not exploits others. The vineyard belongs to the Lord, not to us. Authority is a service, and should be exercised as such, for the good of all and for the spreading of the gospel. A fundamental lesson we can extract from this parable, applicable to everyday life regardless of religious context, is the importance of responsibility, justice, and respect for authorities and others. Responsibility. Just as the farmers had the responsibility to care for the vineyard and give the fruits to the owner, each of us has responsibilities in our lives, whether in our families, jobs, or communities. We should be responsible and diligent in fulfilling our obligations and giving our best in everything we do. Justice. The farmers acted unfairly and violently toward the messengers sent by the vineyard owner. As we often see injustices in our world, we should strive for justice, treating others with equity, respect, and compassion, and not tolerating oppression, violence, or exploitation. Respect for authorities. The farmers disrespected the authority of the vineyard owner, acting against his messengers and his own son. Likewise, we should recognize and respect legitimate authorities in our lives, whether in government, work, school, or other contexts, as long as these authorities are acting justly and ethically. Recognition of consequences. The parable also teaches about the inevitability of the consequences of our actions. The farmers reaped the consequences of their rebellion and injustice when the vineyard owner returned and punished them. Similarly, we must be aware that our actions have consequences, and we must be prepared to face them, whether positive or negative.